All right, guys, Sam here, back with you on Friday, November 16th, and we're going to finish up here with Cardano to Bitcoin. This is by request from the members. Now, we've looked at this. We've looked at this previously. I think there's a reasonable case for this to be playing out as a WXY. Now, we do have to allow for traditional Elliott's rule set. We'd be looking for a much deeper X wave, right? But we don't get it. All right. So I think this ABC. Now this ABC looks pretty solid. So if you look here, just grabbing the length of the A, I've shown this before, projected from the B. Let me get this right here. I mean, we're almost to the tick on parity for the length of the A projected from the B. Makes you think it's more likely an ABC here. So what do you do, right? So it's not ideal for an X wave. Not that it's never happened before, and not that it's not possible, but I think we can, to some degree, I can appreciate the thinking that, why does it even matter, right? So do we have something over here that we can finish? Well, I do notice this. So if we can remember, Algo doesn't care about the Elliott count. So if we come down here from this pivot here, much like we were doing in Bitcoin here, swing high to swing low, front run on the 50. That's a reasonable thought here. So our target is down here, what, at 412. Shit, man, that's hard to believe, right? I've got 0 wicked off here, so it's not a bad idea when you're down this far to make sure you're not doing any projections to go below 0. You don't catch it. So just to kind of review here, so we've got this target down here that, again, can't ignore it, right? So ignoring that is how you get yourself in trouble. So that we know that's down there. All right, let's dig in over here. So let's work from what I'm proposing here is this 4 high. All right, so let's bring it down here. So here's the last significant retracement here, and yeah, it's very tempting to want to go. Let's get this 5 in here. It's very tempting to want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it doesn't work, right? So it's more likely, I would suppose, that we've got A, B, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us the C of the 4. Now, of course, that is a shallow 4 as it would relate to the 2 that is way up here, much higher. So if we, that's not even the 2. The 2 is back even further, right? So it would be here. So looking here from this 2 through the 3 down here, all right, we're even shy of the 23. So. Right, it's not that, again, it's not that we've never seen that before. It's just low probability. It's not the probable zone where you'd look for a 4, 23 to 38, but just a weakness of the market, or potentially I have the count misidentified. This is the only other retracement of any significance here, but this plays, I think, better as a 1, 2. We've got to get 3. So within that, so we've got 1, 2, and then we've got to get an impulse in that third. So we do get 1, 2. This qualifies here. Yeah, I checked it. We got a little ABC. We come down for the 3. This little ABC seems like the only way we can resolve this. So if 1, 2 is correctly identified here, I've got to have an impulse here. So this fits a little squirrely on the 4 relative to the 2, but it certainly qualifies. So if this here, so we'll focus in on this last bit here. So if the 3 is here, and I've got an ABC for my pivot here for my 4, it looks like it's trying to carve out a diagonal to finish here. So this looks more like an ABC. So immediately you're thinking diagonal, meaning that this 1 is going to need to be overlapped by this 4 if this count is going to play. So opening up here a little bit more. I guess let's go down, we'll go to hourly. Let's see how we look down here. All right, let me scrunch it up a little bit. Hopefully that's not too, yeah, okay, here, this will work. So ABC. Looks more likely. So I can understand the bullish thinking that could have been there in thinking, oh, I've got an impulse here. I've got an ABC into a 2, and the expectation, well, if I recall, this was also fairly technical. We look here. All right, so a couple of wicks through the golden zone. Right, so perhaps that's a bit of a tell so we know a B wave can very easily go down to the 786, but this close to the 65, so meaning you don't get an algo on your side. So what does that do to the algo? Let's pull this off here. So the potential was there for this is to play as a 1-2, and then off we were going. But with that break, now we know that the algo is going to be there for the other side. All right, so there's the 50. Swing high, swing low. So this algo is kicked, and they've got this, from here, they've got this target. Now, interesting how that lines up with the median line. Now, the reason I don't think that's likely to be our 3 here is that we wouldn't be 100% of the 1. So remember, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest, but we don't, assuming I've got this labeled correctly, we don't have a 4 and a 5 to measure against. So since the only thing we can measure against is the length of the 1, as I have it here via this ABC format. So if we just grab the length of the proposed 1 and project from the proposed 2, well, here we have, so that's why I have that little line there wicked off, because that we need to get past that here if we can identify this as a 3. So this looks like you may, right? We may have the start on an A wave, B wave going in, C wave to give us our 3rd. Right? We don't know that we're done here yet, but this little action looks more corrective of, so this could be ABC into an A. We're in the ABC of the B, so potentially now you're doing this to finish the C to the 4 to the 5 would bring you, that would finish it. So but note here, this 4 has to overlap this 1. That's also why, so I have this little dashed line here, which you can't see because I have this on top of it. So you see, here's our potential 1 wave right here. So this 4, if this is finishing as a diagonal, that's not optional, it must overlap. It can be just a tick, but it's got to do it, right? So this framing with the median lines here sets up rather nicely. So if we can get this, right, so I know most people being bullish would not like to see us continuing to head towards, what was that? What was our target down here? We're 442. So, right, bulls, it's just not there yet. This is just not anything that looks like it's done yet. There's, no matter how I spin the count here, I can't come up with anything that looks like it's complete. Now, again, not that it's impossible that we don't just rock it out of here. It just seems less likely. We try and focus on the probable, not the possible. Is that possible? Sure, it's possible. Yep, this could come right down here. So we've got this nice fat target here. So we've got a perfect tag of the median line at an algo target, right? There is nothing that prevents this, or certainly that could just skyrocket out of there. But that's not a trade I would take. I wouldn't bet on that, right? So again, it's possible. It's just not probable. And we want to focus on the probable. And right now, the probable would suggest that this is not done. So A, B, and at the very least, come back to try to tag that median line. Now, if we do this, right, maybe we catch it down here. Maybe it's second target. Maybe we've got more legs. There's no way to know. First, now what will help is if this is the A, and we can get our B, we know B. Right, so we can just lay out the roadmap using our tools. So if that's the A, well, to some degree, you can look at that and say, well, don't I have a corner pocket there? Yeah, sure, absolutely you do. There's your corner pocket. That the 80% is intact, right? As long as this pivot holds, we still have 80% of making the median line. Now, you might look at that and say, failure to make the median line. Doesn't that set up the potential for training principle number 4, failure to make the median line sets up a move equal to or greater than the swing that failed to get there? Well, it's a little premature to take that stance because we may well hit down here. But if we start to go, now if we start to retrace from this, and we get past for example, the lower parallel, past the 65, right? So now the dynamics of the count are changing. So then you might rethink that, right? Maybe we are going to get something equal to or greater than, right? So the idea of this as an A, B, technically it's still possible here, but that would be, again, we'd be into the possible and not the probable. What we want to see here is this come up here for this A, tag something technical here, and then start working back down so we can get resolution here, so we can have more confidence in a pivot. We can get a technical pivot down here that would complete with pattern, price, some symmetry as relates to time. So, of course, the median lines give us a leading indicator. Right? So it lets the market frame that timing. So we reasonable roadmap here if this is going to finish as a diagonal. Now there will be tells along the way. Right? Do we come down here? Do we tag here? Are we going up to the B? Are we going to break this right now? We've got back-to-back algo. So note here that we have the algo from swing high, swing low to this 50 with that target is in, and we have the potential for this if we're going to come up. Let's do it this way. If we're going to come up here and get into, here's our 50, here's our golden zone. If we're going to get into this range and push down, well, now we're stacking targets. So this starts to expand. So we've got pretty good confluence down here. Again, now this is, I don't know that we go up here and do this, but that certainly is teed up if we're going to rally into the weekend. And then there's one more push down. Remember, this 80% holds that we make the median line, right? As long as this pivot is not violated. So if we come up here and we take out this pivot, right, all bets are off. You have to redraw it. So just for the sake of example, let's say we came up here. Well, that invalidates this, right? So that would, what would that tell you? Well, the failure to make the median line has set up a move greater than or equal to this pivot. Now, that doesn't kill the median line. It just means you'd have to draw it over here. So if this is your stop here, right, and that's right. If it's gone this far, that's a reasonable place for your stop, knowing that we could come back up here and test the golden zone. That's certainly possible, but you'd take your stop here. I'd like to think if you're that far, if you caught this turn and you're short this far, reasonable to have your stop at the very least at break even, right? But if this were to go over here, we could redraw again, right? So it doesn't kill it. But you might start, well, that would be the dominant, but you might start, well, maybe it's working from the, we never know what they're using. We can just make the educated guess. Right now, I defer to the dominant pivots. All right, so as I'm counting this, 1, right, as we had it here, 2, right, so setting this up. But if we're going to get a big accelerated move here, and we get up here, and if we were to break the 65, well, then we get a buy side algo on our side. Do you understand that? So if we get up here and we break this, well, now we have the potential for a buy-side algo to kick. So there will be software then that will take, if this is our dominant swing, we get up here, they'll take the next 50 for that. That will be there. So just so you see how that fits together. If we get something like this, well, let's get it right in the golden zone, and that would have this as a target. Now, interesting, look where that golden zone is. All right, so there's, it could easily be bouncing around here. Now, if we get past this, then this cannot be our 2, right? We can't have an ABC take out that 2. So you've got, there's some variables here. Nothing is clean and easy in crypto right now. It's very, very difficult down here to be. So what you got to back up and say, well, what do I know for sure? What can I see for sure? Well, certainly we have a very long extended downtrend. So we're trying to buy down here. You're trying to pick the turn. I would often tell you, no need to be a hero. No, you don't. Yeah, it looks good. You can post it on Twitter. Yep, you're brilliant. But it's just the risk is so high. There's just no reason to do it. I would always tell you to wait for that. Wait for the first high. At least get a higher low. Right? So it's been a long wait to get one of those. So as I look at this, this could, right now, this would be my primary count. I'm sure people can come up with alternates here. But until this breaks, I think this is a reasonable count. So my expectation is that that we are putting in the B here, but this needs to be technical. That would be perfect. And then back down here, maybe these targets, maybe second target. We don't know. If it's going to play as a third, remember, we got to get at least to the 100. Right, so nothing says that if we are going to go B, that we would stop here. Right, here's 100. So here's second target. So you've got a secondary hot box down here that's very, very reasonable. In fact, almost essential if this count is going to play as I have it written or have it labeled. 1, 2. I need my 3 down here to get 100% length of the 1. Right? Or the count is off. It's got to be relabeled and rethought. Right now, I think this plays. So at least I've got a roadmap. Now, am I a buyer here from the A into the B? Nope. And I'm not a fan of shorting crypto. But down here, it starts to get more interesting. Right? If we get this. Right? So remember, we have to overlap that pivot. So if the 4, depending on where that 4 kicks in, we've got to overlap this pivot. Right? So that has to be marked if you're going to apply this count somewhere. Not suggesting that you need to trade it, but if you're applying this count as an alternate, the key level is here. If this is going to play, this 4 has to overlap that 1. right? Or this count is invalidated. Right? Something else is going on, and I have it wrong here. So if this comes up, it has to get through. It doesn't have to be by much. But that would bring us down here. Then we'd be completing as we tag the median line. Nothing says we have to stop there. Right? These are all. I always advise that you at least have a primary and an alternate, and that you lay out a roadmap. So if it starts to follow it, you're like, oh, I know exactly where we're going. Right? Just using those swing relationships, using the probable. Right? We all know that anything's possible. Let's focus on the probable. That's I would tell you a more thoughtful way to approach trading the market. Why try and buy the low? Why try and mess around in here? If it's unclear, wait for more information. It will come. This is it's challenging down here, right? Are we finishing in a diagonal? Well, yeah, there's going to be tells, right? There are going to be tells. But one thing that looks highly likely to me is that we have not yet put in a hard low. This would be surprising that that's our low. So I'd be anticipating lower prices that, for bulls, that may set you up for better pricing down below, but I would sure not try and be a hero and pick the low. I'd wait for the first pivot that was technical, and that first 50 to 618 zone. Now you're positioned. There'll be plenty of upside. All right, I'll wrap it there. That's probably enough here. We're at 16 minutes in that. Just again, I'll finish up with a reminder. We do have this 3-day trial going on. There's a link below this video if you want to come check us out for a few days. It's $7 for 3 days. Give you access to about 85%, I should say, of the members' content. A few things that we hold back here, but it's a nice way to just get a feel for the community and engage with the senseis and trading coaches and some of the other members. All right, so just a suggestion. Perhaps you'll take advantage of that. If so, we'll see you in the Discord sometime soon. Okay, guys, see you later.